got the hate from, but you're a cancer that I need to operate on. I wanna wash away your filth like the great flood, but I don't wanna see my head dry your fake blood. Fake blood.
Yo, what is up, you guys? Had a couple crashes at the beginning there, no idea what happened. Hope you're all doing good. I am really on my last legs because I just spent the last 2 weeks at festivals. I was at Rampage, the International Summer Festival, and also at Skull Valley in Paris, and it has really taken it out of me. So I'm looking forward to just kicking back and relaxing, listening to some of your music. Got some really cool submissions today, excited to go through them. Starting off, we have got this track called Climate Exit by Atlas Neon, who has been posting the last couple of weeks as well. Always post some kind of high quality stuff, so let's have a little listen to that.
I'm driving too fast, we're moving too slow. You told me to stop, all I wanted was to go. One look at your face, a fiery blaze. Get ready to race, I said I'm strapped in tight. Get ready for flight, on your mark set to the highest height. And you the stick, better run off quick. Ready to race, but you said no.
The signal sound, get moving fast. The direction's lost, stuck in the past.
Tell me there is no greater amount, no higher goal, no other move, no more control, no breakdown left. Get on that track. You tell me there's no turning back.
The signal sounds, get moving fast. Directions lost, stuck in the past. We're moving slower, day by day. This time
Yo, really interesting idea for a track, man. Just having like a listen back on that compared to your other stuff that you sent the last couple of weeks. Obviously getting a flavour for your music that it's really like very synth wavy bass. So you're doing an excellent excellent job at kind of capturing that feeling. The things that stuck out for me in particular compared to the other music you've sent is the mix is sounding a bit more powerful than previous ones. There's definitely been improvements in terms of the drums, and like overall mix seems a bit brighter as well. The things that stuck out for me that didn't work so much were the vocals. Sounded like, I'm assuming that you recorded your own vocals, and were the female vocals also recorded of a friend, for example? Because like, as someone that records my own vocals, I'm really guilty of this myself, but when you're producing yourself, you tend to not always push yourself to get the best possible takes. And I feel like if I was going to be like really critical about the vocals, there's some parts in the rapping vocals that aren't quite on time, and some of the female vocals are a little bit pitchy, and with that synthwave sound, you probably just want to auto-tune the shit out of everything so that it's as kind of like perfect as the synths, just for aesthetic. But yeah, definitely like just look into how you would process your vocals to stick out and kind of have that bright sheen like the rest of the track. But really cool start to a song, and like, I mean, obviously there's most of a song there. It's got really good kind of general arrangement, but yeah, for me, the parts that didn't work with the vocals, but definitely great improvement on the general mix and everything, sounding really sick, dude. So thank you for sending that in. Let's see what we got up next. We have got some more Tesseracts. So we got Hallelujah. Okay, there's two here. I'm going to assume it's the later one. Okay, just checking out the link here. It looks like you've sent me a track, and then this was like asking for advice on how to do the second drop, and then this was your update. So I'm going to check out the first part of the song first. But yeah, in the future, just send single links so it doesn't get confusing, or just replace them as well. Blues Brothers. Right, so this is like a remix or a bootleg, is it? Really euphoric vibes.
We're gonna have a real good time.
Thanks A2B, appreciate that, man. Yeah, Bolts was great fun.
Shout hallelujah.
I can't take it no more.
Oh shit. You can tell this is gonna be bad.
I can't take it no more.
Jesus. Right, so that was the first drop and you were stuck on the second drop, so... Right, and then you ended up sending this one in as the second drop. You know what? Like, I like the melodic kind of direction. Like, the whole song's pretty euphoric and quite melodic, and you've obviously tried to do something different the second drop. The first one's so insane, you could probably just drop the same, like, first drop again with some slight different changes, because it's really... There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of variety already in that first drop that it doesn't feel repetitive. I just kind of like to hear everything all over again. That's probably my favorite drop that I've heard you guys make so far. It's fucking insane. Like, fucking pull up on that first one. That was crazy.
I can't take it no more.
For me, it's that dum-dum, like that kind of stabby bit. Absolutely insane.
I can't take it no more.
I'm guessing that is a bootleg based on the fact that it looks like it's from a Blues Brothers track originally, but yeah, making that kind of work with Neuro is not any easy feat, so that's really fucking sick that you've done that, and I really want to, like, dude, just honestly take that first drop and just make a few variations of it. That second one doesn't hit anywhere near as hard, doesn't seem to take it where I want it to go anyway. I really want to hear that finished. Send it to me when it's done, because I'll play the shit out of that. Cool. Next up, we got Corex Dark Void version 4. Creepy choir samples. want to just interrupt you quickly before I forget my point, but obviously you've built up this kind of like really dark atmosphere in the beginning here, and this is something that I've always like tried to figure out in my own tracks as well. I often opt for going like really dry in my drops, like I don't have a lot of atmosphere. It's mostly just like really upfront kind of loud sounds that usually occupy most of the space. And obviously you decide to keep the atmosphere over the drop in this case, and I just think it would have hit harder if you didn't, because you kind of built that atmosphere, and then in contrast to that, it would have just like... So like here, take out the pad would be my advice. love the really rolling drums though. They're really sick and very dirty, kind of like Reese bass. Yeah, like this bit here is more dry, for example, and it just seems to kind of really open up nicely into it. I think in general the mix could be a bit louder as well. Yeah, a good example would be, you know, the remix of Messiah that, well, both Scream Arts and Magnitude did some excellent remixes of them. That like that has that kind of like choir voice, and build those things up with even more cinematic drums. I think if you're going to go full like cinematic, you can really lean into it even more, you know. Let's see what we got in the second drop here. Yeah, similar. I mean, it's really atmospheric. I did say you need to be louder, but I'm pretty sure that the loudness meter said you're getting like -3 lufs, so it's definitely loud. My volume is pretty quiet in my studio here because I'm just trying to take it easy today. Been bombarded with music all weekend, so maybe I shouldn't be making any comments on the loudness, but I mean, it sounds well mixed with itself. Yeah, I just try and like get more dry in the drop there. It could be, it just like compared to, I don't know, it's always really harsh to have a song immediately after Tesseract because they're fucking mix wizards, but yeah, like it's always helpful to be able to reference other stuff, and I think that, yeah, just here, like I saw a comment by Krang as well saying that it's maybe not got enough clarity, and that's pretty much very much the case. But yeah, take away the atmosphere in the drop and just maybe try and get a bit more brightness out of it, but really cool kind of dark vibe. I like it. Thanks, man. Thanks for sending that in. All right, next up we got Krang, Curiosity version 1.
Since early man walked this young planet, he has speculated about the nature of the universe. Astronomy is the oldest science. It all began with the systematic observations of the Chinese in the 13th century BC. Curiosity, inquiry into the nature of heavenly objects and events, brought on the birth of the scientific method.
The big duty kind of snare. I enjoyed the kind of like booty quote. That was fun.
In them, there is beauty, simplicity, generality. They are important because they shed light on the conditions and events that brought our world into existence, that brought us into existence, and that will ultimately decide our fate.
I was hoping that you were going to do something different in the second drop. With a name like Curiosity, you expect it to be quite experimental. You know what's really kind of understated is that kind of top synth. The basses are huge, but that top synth is actually doing a lot. It really adds to the vibe. It's really sick. This is like when I was talking about earlier with the previous track on how to, what was it called again? Sorry, it was called Dark Void by Korax, and just talking about how often you got to make a decision in the drop whether to kind of like, there's certain ways to carry on a atmosphere like over like at the top and kind of continue atmosphere. That kind of top synth is very much an example of when it works really well. And the other not so much, in terms of like, you don't want to take away from the kind of impact of the song, but just add, and something really high pitched over the top there is a great example. I saw OMP saying it sounds like Suicide Bassline a bit. It does. That fucking Yeah, slaps. That's just a fucking solid tune, man. I can't really say anything to criticize about it. Just works. I'd like to play that. Send it to me if you can. Can I hit the DL on this? Is it finished? It says version 1, so I'm guessing you got some more shit to do to it. Let me know when it's finished, and yeah, let me have a little listen and then hopefully play it. Really sick track. Next up, we have got Let Me Out by Kavala. It's really nice to see some return faces each week, I've got to say. And just want to make a quick note to anyone watching, if you want to submit your tunes, you know, it doesn't matter what level it is, I'm always happy to give some feedback and just generally really enjoy listening to it. Just creating a community here, and it's super nice to see some return faces every time. Everyone's always got shit to work on, and it's just nice to hear them. And it doesn't have to be a finished song by any means, but the levels that I'm getting sent are pretty high quality, I gotta say. Don't let that discourage you though. If you feel like your productions aren't as good as some of the stuff you're hearing, I'm still totally happy to hear it. There's always something positive and something useful to get out of it. So yeah. This is Let Me Out by Kavala.
All you gotta do
Actually, really interesting. It's got into that kind of like jungle bass after. Yeah, before I forget, I'd like to say, I think the things that really stand out for me is this is a song that has a really great theme, like this kind of let me out kind of vocal, and how you've like reintroduced it in multiple different ways is really interesting. Like there was these little details in the beginning where you just had like this one singular snare with like a load of reverb on it. Look at that. Things like that just create kind of tension, like really great tools in music. And the sample of whatever movie is that from, or I don't know, some show, or that just sounds cool. And I like when you go in this section. Okay, this melody here that you have in the bridge. That is really strong. I would use that more in the main intro, and then the second drop. That top synth really kind of makes it more interesting. I'd say the first drop is too obvious, and it's something I've heard like 1,000 times, is just that kind of quantized bass. I'd really encourage working kind of like with the Tesseract track, where if you put tracks like on the offbeat, put bass sounds on the offbeat, for example, you can create a lot of really interesting sounds. And that first one was too obvious for me. Just, it's more of a taste thing. It's not this bad. I know that a lot of people actually really enjoy it when stuff's just quantized and quite simple. Like that's like very much like a Czech sound. People love that kind of like 8-beat rhythm. But for me, I find it just something that I always want to hear something completely fresh, and that's the second drop definitely hits harder in that regard. And then you bring in all these other kind of let me out vocals, which are very, yeah, they just they really elevate it. It makes it so much more interesting. That let me out, let me out. That could even be like the main. That could even be like the main bass part for the first drop. You could use that exact rhythm of the let me out part and layer it with the bass.
It's a risk I cannot take.
Yeah, I think you definitely got a strength when it comes to using those kinds of samples. Sounds really cool, man. Right, next up we've got Craveth. Or Cravaith. Okay, this is sounding pretty melodic already. Okay, this is pretty quiet. 1 second, let me turn it up in my studio. Wow, really interesting synth work. It's easily the most original song I've been sent today. Like, the whole intro is basically like a synth solo. Like, the synths are crazy as well. If I'm not mistaken, that's 140 or 150 kind of breakbeat as well, which is really dope. I mean, in terms of volume, it looks like you're basically, this is like a pre-master, so this is like before you've put it through any kind of master chain down at -12. It's really, really creative. You're like, you can tell you're unbelievably talented when it comes to melody. The thing that lets me down is the mix. Like, it's a shame that doesn't just have an absolutely huge mix on it, because it would like present the idea so much better. Really, really impressed by the kind of melody work. It's like, yeah, like I said, it's basically like a synth solo for the majority of the thing. And I love that it's breaks. Like, it's honestly that first drop. I'd be really interested in like something like that on the label if it didn't have like such bright synths. It's too happy sounding for what I would put on my label, but it's like very creative, and the synth work in terms of the melody is really cool. But I would really just try and work on the mix and bring it. I mean, it's like, it's mixed nicely with itself, but if you just compare it to other stuff I've been listening to today, like obviously it's too quiet and doesn't really just have like as much balance, but it's really strong. And in terms of arrangement, it evolves a lot. It doesn't ever get boring. The grooves are fucking on point as well. But yeah, my only kind of like feedback would be just really try and work on the mix to present the idea in a more kind of powerful way. But I mean, it's interesting. It's a really, really good track. Like, can hear so much potential. Definitely really talented when it comes to the musical side of things. All right, next up we have got Stay Put, Glitchrend. Is Glitchrend the artist or the name of the song? Can't work it out. I'm guessing Glitchrend's the name of the song. Interesting intro so far. honestly had no idea where that was going, so it was a nice surprise. It went into some glitch hop. That's cool. You know what, instantly I can tell that your textures, like, it's very texture based, this whole song. Like, even the intro, there's some really interesting sounds. But you know, from a sound design perspective, it's really interesting. But that bass sound is like all sub and like this very high pitched phasery kind of sound. And I just feel it would really benefit from some kind of lower mids to beef out that bass. Also, like, there's just kick and snare and not really any hi-hats. And I feel like, I mean, there are hi-hats there, they're just not very present in the mix. And generally with these kind of like glitch hoppy, really funky beats, it really helps to have some pretty present, kind of quite dominant hi-hats, like open hats and stuff to really help push the groove. So I'd definitely push the highs on the drums in terms of like all the top loops. And the other textures are really, really sick. And the bass is too repetitive. Definitely this like, that kind of stays the same throughout it. And I'd definitely develop that more. Because if you're going for that like Cohen sound culprit kind of thing, you'll notice they always are revolving their basses throughout it. And I definitely, instead of just having that simple loop, the texture's interesting. But yeah, like I'd love to hear that go into something with some just like more powerful kind of stabby basses. Let's see what happens in the second drop. I like these switched up the drum groove a bit. Yeah, listening to it now, like your hats are kind of present. They're just really kind of like, I would layer them with like some white noise to get more kind of lows to those shakers. Really, really sick sound design though. Some really cool ideas. It's just, yeah, it'd be nice to hear them in a more kind of like, I guess just like slightly heavier basses. But you know, sometimes people are just kind of like wanting to experiment with different new creative sounds. And I got to say that squishy sound is not something you hear very often. So in terms of like exploring some interesting new sound design, you definitely succeeded. It was really cool. And yeah, I also just want to make a point right now that I would love people to send in. You don't just have to send drum and bass in here. Like, I really encourage any kind of experimental music. I absolutely love kind of experimental breakbeat, kind of glitch hop, any of that. Only thing I'm not a massive fan of just out of taste is like kind of like bro steppy kind of dubstep. Find most other things super interesting. You can even send some fucking techno if you want to. Techno with a CH though, not a K. I'm not really into just like heavy, I suppose like heavy bro step and kind of just heavy quantized kicks is just not my thing. But apart from that, I'm pretty open. Right, next up we have got Hey, AKOV vibrators, not some inspiration to make more tunes. Here is a work in progress entry for vibrator. Second drop also needs work, kind of stuck. So, let's go. Schizo. I keep saying this wrong. You're going to have to fucking tell me how to pronounce it in the chat, man, because I've said it wrong like 3 times now. But anyway. Ampusa Mantis. Work in progress. Let's have a little listen. Apparently schizo is how you say it, so I'm really happy with myself now. You know what? The textures, again, really clean. You got some really nice clean textures. I noticed in the beginning it just felt like the drums were just lacking any top loop, but you've obviously just got kick and snare. But when you're starting a track with a drum loop, typically you do want the extra hats and stuff to help kind of like solidify the groove. I remember your last track that you sent in also had some really great texture to it. Like everything's really clean and definitely has a nice range to it for sure. It sounds like the kind of white noise layer that you have on the snare here has been maybe cut a little too low. It needs like a tiny bit more highs. Yeah, also snare just needs a tiny bit more high end on the white noise. It sounds like it's been cut too low. Because the snare is something you just hear throughout the entire track, it's something that's quite obvious. But yeah, like the balance between kick and snare, really feel like, I talked about this in the previous stream, having like a really nice low subby punchy kick with a really kind of nice snappy snare really defines the entire mix in terms of like how it's going to sound. The bass is also really like subby and quite full, and it fills the mix nicely. But I think the kind of flavor that you're going for is maybe a bit, I don't want to say silly, it's like it's quite playful. And instead of sounding heavy, it gives me more of a vibe of like playful and a bit more jump uppy, I guess. Yeah, I suppose goofy is a good word for it. You said that yourself, not me. just out of my personal taste, I would just distort those basses more and slap a bunch of erosion and white noise on them just to make them kind of like. But this kind of bendy is cool, man. It's definitely a vibe. It's just a matter of taste. And then so just for like tips for the mix, I would definitely just bring out a bit more brightness on the snare and introduce those top loops in the. I don't know. The intro felt a little empty as well. Maybe just in general, we want to explore more musical ideas. Like if you teamed up with, who was it? Like you and Cravaith, if you guys had like teamed up with his musical ability in terms of like the melodies he did and then mixed with your mix, it'd be really great. You'd have a fucking insane collab there. Right, so next up we've got Erdman. We've got, again, version 1.16, I guess. When you start getting to the decimals, you know that you're working on some, like, there's probably like version 10, but you're just like, no, it's 1.16. Right, this is super quiet. I wonder if that's because it's sent actually as a file in the Discord. Really nice atmospheric, liquidy vibes so far. Super, super quiet though. Dude, like the atmosphere is absolutely incredible in this, but are you producing like with headphones on, like really loud or something? Because this is so quiet. I would literally, either that or you're trying to not wake up like an angry neighbor or something, but I'd for sure, this needs to be like 10 times louder for sure. You can hear everything's really understated, like the general mix. It's like everything's just audible. I would hazard a guess that you're producing in headphones. You could probably benefit from really producing it out loud. Super nice atmospheres though. I want to hear it. I almost want to throw it in Ableton and just try and master it. Just to get it a bit louder, you know. Obviously I can just turn up the volume, but it's also the balance of stuff is like a bit off. Yeah, for example, like your build-up there was some elements that were louder in your build-up than your drop. OMP just asked in the comments, how do I approach loudness? Like, for me, it's, you get a reference track, like, so find a track that you want to get as loud as, and then it's simple as trying to match the kick and the snare is the most important part for me. So find a track that you want to copy in terms of volume, start with the kick and the snare, and then work down from there. So like, obviously the kick and the snare are the most repeated sounds throughout the whole track, I'd say, that really define the whole mix. So try and match the volume of the kick and the snare of the song that you're referencing. And then I kind of just think about processing everything around the kick and the snare from that point. So like I'll try and get the bass as loud as I possibly can, really hard side chained to the kick and snare. But in this case, I mean, this track would require a slight different approach. It's like a liquid track, but still very much like, yeah, you want to match the kick and the snare and just make sure that you work around that. And it's, I mean, yeah, I guess this could just be a complete pre-master. You just wanted to get the idea out there, but it'd be so nice to hear that really loud. Super, super nice atmospheres. Just another point to OMP's question is, yeah, like I try and do it pretty much by ear. I try and avoid any visual aids when it comes to mixing, just because I just feel like you get more consistent results if you just do it by taste. And also it sounds a little more original. You can really get caught up on details, you know, like, oh, we need another 2 dB here, and it might not necessarily sound like it needs it. Your ears should always be the main thing that kind of dominate your choices in the mix. Some people get really obsessed with kind of graphs and stuff. There's probably stuff that's in my tracks which is just so technically wrong on so many levels, but I just always push it to a moment where either the track I'm referencing, I'm trying to get as close to that, or I might just generally be mixing to my last track. There's quite a lot of variation in my mixes, and yeah, I just try and do it by feeling. I'm very feelings based when it comes to my music. It's not always technically perfect, but it's definitely, for me, it's about the enjoyment of the process rather than getting caught up on things. If I don't often get stuck on a song for too long. If I feel like I'm not enjoying making it anymore, I'll just move on to something else. And that could be some useful tips for some other people that get stuck on their music. Cool. Next up, we have got, let me just expand this window so I can read what the text says. This is a VIP edit of my old bootleg. I made a terrible mix back then and actually wanted to even that out, but somehow ended up making a VIP edit. Hope you enjoy. DressX. I guess that means you've sent it in before for context, but I can't remember. But let's have a little listen. So, YVM Torment, DressX VIP edit. So, it's a bootleg that you've done a VIP of. So yeah, you're gonna start collecting some kind of like extra titles on that title now. I like how kind of like metal-y guitar the synths are. I will say though, like a thing that stuck out for me instantly is the drop is in a different key to the intro. And it's really, sometimes if you go for heavy, it's nice to have still the same root note. Key changes are great if they're intentional, but I have a feeling in this case it's not intentional. And in terms of mix, you've got like the important elements there. You've got this really high-pitched, I just call it like a noise layer. I use that in my mixes just to fill the kind of top space. Something that the Clamps taught me many, many years ago, just to fill up your kind of drum layer. But this, like, a lot of brightness is in that, but then your snare, again, is missing some brightness. So it kind of sounds like your snare's a little bit underwater. Or it could just be the kind of like combination of that with that particular cymbal layer. It seems to, I don't know, to me it sounds a little... yeah, if you already have white noise on the snare, then just turn it up a tiny bit. Like when I put white noise on my snare, I cut it, like low cut it at kind of 1,000. So anything up from 1,000 to, yeah, up to 16,000, and then boost it a little around the kind of, let's say, 12,000 mark. What's that? Brr, brr. Yeah, and I'd just try and kind of try and use the try and put the track excuse me, try and put the track in the right key. Nice. All right, next up we've got Crazy. I remember this guy. He's released a couple of well, sent in a couple of, let's say, quite jump-uppy tracks before with vocals on. So I'm expecting a jump-up track with vocals on it. Just to expand on that point, OMP have said you can make great snare tails with Serum. Yeah, that is a great way to do it. Basically, just turn off all the oscillators and turn on the noise oscillator or the noise sampler and load in. I use bright white, and you can just then put an LFO on the volume and shape it. So make a little bit of attack at the beginning, and yeah, you've got like just as much white noise as you need then. It's the best way for using layers there. Interesting. Also pretty quiet. I'm guessing this hasn't gone through the kind of like mixing process yet. But I'll tell you what, the first thing that really stands out for me is the vocals. And I mentioned this earlier for Atlas Neon. When you record yourself, it's pretty hard to hold yourself to a high standard of like really getting the perfect take. And I can hear that you're singing a little flat on some of those notes. So either just put some kind of auto tune, or what's best for a more natural sound is Waves tune. It's less of that kind of T-Pain sound, but even you can use auto tune, but with less kind of speed on the retune. So you can either be lazy and just slap an auto tune on it, or just really push yourself to get the perfect kind of take, because there's some notes that are definitely hitting it flat there. And I really feel that when you have electronic music and lots of electronic sounds, it's even more obvious when something is completely perfect when you have a synth to kind of like reference it to, if you see what I mean. Yeah, it could definitely. I mean, it's not to do with. You've definitely got a good. You got a good voice. Oh, you meant T-Pain. Yeah, T-Pain can sing so fucking well. It's insane that he kind of like made popular the kind of whole auto-tune thing. There's some videos of him singing live, and it's just absolutely insane how good his voice is. But yeah, what I want to say in reference to this is, even if you're an amazing singer, and you're recording yourself, you're probably not going to push yourself. This is something that I experienced a lot more listening back to some old recordings of me and my band. I wish that I was working with a producer that could sit there and just go, nah, that wasn't perfect, do it again. And you kind of think it's okay, and then you kind of, because you're working on everything, you're working on the whole song, and it can sound like, sometimes you can just hear things, you can't hear things that other people can. And yeah, when it comes specifically to vocal, that's something that I've realized with my own music recently as well. Like, I could have done some much better takes in the past. I really love the vibes though, like just like with your previous stuff that you sent in, there's some really interesting, like kind of a lot of flavors that I've never really heard before, and I think I really encourage you to keep like kind of experimenting with them because they're really cool. Cool, and he also left a little note afterwards saying no samples used in this track, everything's designed, so that's really cool. Just out of interest, are you using Serum or FMA? Like, what's your main go-to synth? Because there's some really interesting, you can hear everything's like got a really clean, a lot of control over it. I'd love to hear it a bit louder, and also just with slightly better vocal techs would be cool. Right, next up we've got Athera with Alien Farm 17, work in progress. Still very new, but there you go, according to him. Much more minimal than the stuff that you showed before, but it's got really cool vibe to it. I'm really enjoying it. Much more kind of like Imanu kind of style. By the way, everyone in the chat, say hi to Pluvio. He is the guy who I run Symbiotic Records with. He's going to be much more involved in the channel, in the Discord channel, kind of moderating, and also great producer. Check out his stuff that's on the label. Athera in the chat just said that he listened to a Waze set recently and got inspired. I love that when you're in, I just been at a festival, I just went to Rampage, and before that I was at Skull Valley. There's no better place to get inspired than to watch artists just live and just hear some of the stuff that they're dropping. And yeah, I totally feel that. That was cool. What have you got for us in the second drop? You know what though? This would count as a neuro track still 10 years ago. Like, I noticed this at Rampage Festival. There's so much like abrasively angry music, which is insane for me as someone that loves heavy music, to find some of that music too heavy. But like, this for me was pretty much the kind of neuro that I was making at the beginning of my career as well. And like, it's kind of more deep, but this stuff absolutely slaps off a huge system. Those top loops, like some of those kind of extra synth sounds that you have, really keep it interesting as well. I just noticed the picture, like, I guess the main synth does have a kind of chickeny vibe to it. Is that a relevance there, or? Now I'm just hearing a chicken. Yeah, I'm just hearing chickens everywhere now. Fuck, I ruined the song for myself. I'm guessing that's intentional. You know, that's fucking great though. Like, anything that has like a personality like that is amazing. Cool. Next up, we got done small work to this. This is the latest version, so I'm guessing this is something that we were sent last week. Burning version 3 absolutely love the kind of like trancey synth at the top of this. I realised for me what I think it is in the mix is your kick and snare in general could just be louder in the entire mix. Or maybe your top loops can be quieter. It might be more that. Really love the melodies though. really great vibe to it though, man. Yeah, it's hard with this one. I gotta say, I'd need to reference this to something else. It feels like well mixed with itself. But yeah, it needs, I think, just a bit more power. Not too much more, because obviously it's got this really high pitched snare, and the general vibe is not so neuro-y, as it were. So it doesn't necessarily need to have like slapping drums, but just the general kind of balance, I think. And those synths are really strong. Those are like the highlight of the track for me. So yeah, great progress, and that sounds sick. All right, we've only got 2 tracks left, well 3. I'm probably going to end it actually with Pluvio's track, and I will play this one by Primal on the next stream. I just wanted to make a point to everyone that I'm going to try and invite some kind of more interesting guests to drive a bit more traffic. I'm going to use my friends in the scene to kind of like share some of their ideas. I'm going to get Scream Arts, and let's hopefully get something from Slowdown, and maybe I'm thinking of like getting a guest for each stream. Let me know in the chat if you think that's a good idea, or some. I'd really like to hear your feedback on how to improve these streams. Obviously, I get the idea that it's more interesting to people who've actually submitted their music, but maybe I could also just give more general tips that are related throughout the stream, so that people can watch it who aren't just waiting for their song to be heard, if you see what I mean. I'd really like to kind of push next time. Maybe I can have like 1 guest per stream. And yeah, it'd be great to kind of like drive a bit more traffic here. So right, just to finish the stream for today, we have one more from Owen P, called No Name So Far. Great name. For those of you that haven't heard Owen P's tracks so far, they've submitted the last 2 weeks as well, and always the mixes are perfect. There's nothing you can really say about the mix and the arrangement. However, they have dropped a comment saying that it's an old dub and they can't seem quite to get it right. I can already hear what I think would be the thing that would actually fix this. You need to take a note out of the book of Kavala, I believe it was, who I said that he had a really good knack for taking a sample, I think he had a song called Let Me Out or Let Me Go. I can't remember. I have to scroll up and check. But they used a very simple phrase really kind of effectively. I feel like this song is it's really well mixed. It's got a lot of cool bass sounds, and it's quite atmospheric. But what would bring it to life would very much be a top sample, some kind of like repeating theme, either a vocal or a vocal sample from a movie or something that just has a lot of personality to it that would carry the rest of the song. And I think that might be the missing piece that you need. Exactly, it needs a theme. It feels like just a solid track, but it hasn't got that one thing that makes it really stand out. Yeah, like, because even these parts in the middle just feel there's not much going on. You can just go in on the layers and add some really interesting. I think with a track like this, when you have quite like not necessarily deep basses, but compared to your other tracks, I guess they're a bit less neuro-y and more deep. It gives you so much space to fill up the whole top end with something really insane. Like, just the weirder the better, I reckon. Or even get an MC on it. That would work really well. Yeah, strong, man. Yeah, either hit up a vocalist or just find a generalized theme. Or you know what? Sometimes, I mean, it obviously sounds like you're not really struggling with a lot of the songwriting or kind of mix parts of your production. If this was me and I've been stuck on a song, I just move on. If that song doesn't have that secret sauce in like the first 10 minutes when you're producing it and it feels like you're just kind of making a well-produced kind of nothing song. Not saying that's what this is, but I sometimes find myself in those cases. Then sometimes I just find it's easy to just move on and start something else. But that completely depends on your relationship with your own music. Some people are happy to just keep working things over and over again, but I think a vocalist would probably fix that and just drive it to the next level for sure. All right, so the last track for today, we have got a halftime / neurohop vibe here from Pluvio, and it's a Kinphonics demo master.
Yeah. Back.
Absolutely fucking insane bass design, like I've always come to expect from Rue. What I'd say, my instant kind of reaction to this is it sounds like it is being compressed. It's like being squashed. It sounds like instead of using on the master chain, instead of using soft clipping, that you're actually got like it's been pushed pretty hard into a master. So it sounds like it's kind of dipping quite a lot to me. Because you can hear you've got a punchy kick and a punchy snare. But there's something getting lost in maybe the sub, which is still there, but yeah, it's really hard for me to judge actually without looking at the waveform properly, like what's going on here for me to, but something doesn't slap quite as hard. Absolutely ridiculous design on the bass though, like really fucking fat. Get 'em up, I said this
This is hip hop, get your motherfucking hands high.
Yeah, there's also some imbalancing with a lot of the bass sounds. Like some of them seem a lot louder than the others.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know what the sample is from, but I will just re-record that for you to avoid any copyright if you want. I'm totally happy to just, like, I was actually going to suggest this, something that I might do for the community anyway. I might just drop a little kind of vocal sample pack and see what people can do for one episode using my vocals. Could be kind of fun. Just drop a bunch of, like, I don't know, 140 and 170 vocals that people can use as a loop. Could be a quite fun way to kind of approach things. I'm really happy to do this for people. So if you do have a track that you feel like really needs a vocal, I'm happy to just try something out. It doesn't really, I can usually write things pretty fast, and it's obviously really fun.
Back. This is hip hop, get your motherfucking hands high. Get 'em up, get 'em up. This is hip hop, get your motherfucking.
Yeah, honestly, if the mix on this was perfect, it would just absolutely friggin' slap. I wish this was something that was coming out on Symbotic, but it's not. Apparently, it's coming out on Kinphonics, so. Oh, is Kinphonics an artist or a label? Maybe I just said something stupid. I'm guessing it's coming out somewhere else. But yeah, definitely needs a bit more work on there, buddy. But it's sounding fucking fat in terms of the bass design. Sometimes, you know, depending on your environment, if you're using headphones or, yeah, it can really determine, like, how you approach your mix. But yeah, dude, you know that I think I heard like an earlier demo of this as well that absolutely slapped, and thanks for sending it in. So yeah, thanks everyone for all the music you've sent this week. It's been really fun, and my addled brain from the festivals has enjoyed listening to a little bit of dopamine inducing music. I will be pushing pretty hard next time to maybe kind of have a new theme, something that I can do thematically for each stream to make them a little different and make them interesting for other people to witness as well. So yeah, maybe some remix competitions, working vocals, stuff like that. But please get some stuff ready for not next week, but the one after. I'm going to be doing this fortnightly. And thanks once again, and peace. Have a good one, guys.